Okay, so good afternoon. This is a workshop on Introduction to Google Meet, and um, we will get into some of their other features that are out there with Google Meet. But real quick here on slide 2, I've got a sign-in sheet that I did put in chat. If you didn't see it, I'll put it in one more time, and then as people still, if we have any more, join us here in a little bit, if anybody can put it in the chat as well. So in the chat, I put the sign-in sheet, just like if we were in person. I would have had, a sign-in sheet that you would have filled out. This is just to prove to ISB, if you are getting your professional development hours, that you were here with us today. So the sign-in sheet, if you click on this link or the link in chat, should look like this. And then when you filled it out, I like having participants fill this out, especially since I don't know where everyone is coming from and your background knowledge, but I like it when people put down what they hope to gain from today's workshop. How to use Google Meets. This is new for me. How it will help with remote teaching. So again, I try not to display your names here, but this kind of just gives me a quick overview of what people hope to get out of the workshop today. Okay, so hopefully this will help. And I went ahead and gave you the slide deck as well, so that you can, if you learn best by reading it yourself and going through the links, you can do that as well. So I do try to differentiate and try to meet the needs of all learners. As you saw on the survey, and I know some people are still filling it out on the survey, that we've got, newbies, and we have some seasoned teachers out there as far as using technology. Another thing I like to clear up, I'm learning along with you as well, that I love questions. So at any time, feel free to drop questions in chat. Other people can help answer, or if someone sees that the same questions being asked a lot in chat, someone can interrupt me and ask it. Will I always know the answer? I may not, but we can learn together. So that's the thing with technology. Hopefully you are going to become more comfortable not knowing everything. Rely on having your students help you. Rely on learning from not only your students, but and other colleagues. So just take a deep breath, especially if you're new. We will help you get through this. So if this is your first time using Google Drive or getting a bit.ly link, basically all you have to do was copy and paste this link into the Omnibox. Up here, I'm in my Google Chrome web browser. This is my personal Google account. And then all I have to do is paste that link that I put in chat. I created a bit.ly link for this link so that in case if you were on 2 devices, you didn't have to type in that URL. Same thing with the sign-in sheet. If you are using 2 devices, so you don't have to type in the URL, the URL is the web address for the Google form, for the Google slide. It's if you don't want to type in the URL for the sign-in sheet, I do have it here on slide 2. And you can click on that link once you get into the slide deck. So here I'm going to talk about number 2, how you can access this slide deck after today. So let's say this workshop we're done with it. What you can do, and you close it out, and then let's say whether it's tonight, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, you thought, oh, I want to go back and look at this Google Meet slide deck. You want to add this to your drive. So if you are signed into your Google account, how do you know if you're signed in? It doesn't have the words over here, sign in. It either has your picture or it has your initials. And then you should be able to save this to your Google Drive. So add shortcut to Drive, this triangle right here with the plus sign. When you click on that, you can add it to your drive. Well, for you newbies out there, the Google Drive is like a file cabinet. So you can put this slide deck in your file cabinet, and add shortcut here. If some of you are organized and you're very particular about your organization, you could click on this arrow right here, and you can put this in a folder in your drive. So I've got a folder here called Google Workshops. I can put it in there. Well, you might say, well, Lisa, I don't have a folder called Google Workshops, but I want one. To get a folder, all you have to do is come down here where it says new folder, this icon here with the folder and the plus sign, click on that, and you can create a folder, whatever you would like to name it. Once you have the name here, just click on this check mark here to let you know, to let you create the folder. And then this should it shouldn't be grayed out. You should be able to then add the shortcut there. If not, you can put it in your Google Drive and just add shortcut here. And if you don't use your Google Drive much, another way you could save this to access it later is to come up here and hit the star. The star is at the end of the Omnibox. The Omnibox is basically what you put into search within the Google Chrome web browser. And this will bookmark it. Again, bookmarking is like another way to save it for later. So then you can bookmark it. If you want to bookmark it, you can put it on your bookmark bar, hit done, and it's right here on my bookmark bar. So then when I go up here to a new tab later on, I can just click on that and it will open it up. So that's how you can access it later. If for some reason you click out of it and thought, oh shoot, what did I do? You can hit Shift. On a Mac, it's Shift Command T. I think on a Chromebook, it's Shift Control T. It brings back any tabs that you accidentally closed. And if I have several that I accidentally closed, I can keep clicking on that and it'll keep bringing it up. Another thing, if you right click up here, you can reopen closed tabs this way too. So a couple different ways to do that if you do accidentally close it. Again, we'll have an evaluation for you to fill out at the end. I will tell you with the evaluations, we do look at them from some of the workshops. Again, some of the people say I've gone too fast, where in the same workshop, some people say I go too slow. Again, everyone is different, and where you are in your learning journey with technology could be at different places as well. So that's why we've got the slide deck here for you to access. We are recording this so that you can access the recording later. And then we've got different links within here, within the slide deck. So hopefully, I just got a text from someone who was in an earlier workshop with me this morning, and she said it was overwhelming. We covered YouTube and Screencastify, but she said it was good. She remembers a few things from it, but she's going to go back and look at the recording to refresh her memory and go at a slower pace for her, and she can stop and start the video when she needs to. Another thing here, you will get your ISBE evaluation. Again, allow 24 to 96 hours, and then once you get that evaluation, you fill it out, then it will automatically kick back your professional development hours then that you will enter into your ELLIS account. And then here's the YouTube channel where the recording will be it'll be either tonight or first thing in the morning. So a little bit about me. My name is Lisa Schwartz, and this is my 22nd year in education. The first 19 years I did spend in the classroom teaching 6th through 9th grade. Majority of the time I did teach computers and computer science and using Microsoft. The last few years we still use Microsoft, but I incorporated Google into the classroom, and the students saw me as a learner too, because did I make mistakes? I sure did. Do I still make mistakes? I sure do. But being on this journey of, with technology, that's how things are pushed out. And you'll especially see that with Google Meet, that Google has pushed out updates since April, since we did go to remote learning. And the updates have been a nice feature because it's helped us work with our students during remote learning. The last few years, I guess I'm going on my third year working at the Learning Technology Center. This is grant funded through ISB. Learning Technology Center has been around for 20 plus years, and my role is as a regional ed tech coordinator. So I work with several ROEs and school districts in central Illinois here that around technology, around helping with professional development, and just being a go-to. So, you know, even after today, you have questions, feel free, shoot me an email, and can either try to answer your questions and or learn with you. So glad that you are here today. Before I get going with the Google Meet, any questions about adding this to your drive or bookmarking it or any problems you might be having out there? Okay. I haven't been able to read everything in chat, but I appreciate all of the people helping out and putting things in chat as people are asking. So the Google Meet, what it is just an app for you to video conference with your students. Was this an app that we used much before March, before we went to remote learning? Probably not. So what Google has done on the back end, they have pushed out updates. Right now, they have given everyone the G Suite Enterprise for Education access to everything that they offer in Google Meet. So you might be asking, what's the difference? So what Google has out there, they have the G Suite apps for education. That is what the majority of us are on. Maybe all of us use that on here probably today if you are a G Suite school. Now, some school districts have decided to have the G Suite Enterprise for Education account. And what Google has done with that is they have pushed out some updates and features in that are different than just the education account. It's kind of like their premium account versus their free account that a majority of us use. I have the free account along with you all. With the premium account, the Google Meet features, I'll be talking about some of those throughout today. We should all have the premium Meet features because what Google has pushed out, they have pushed those all out to us for free until September 30th. Originally, they said June 30th, then they pushed it back to September 30th, and who knows with some school districts going full-time remote learning here in the fall that they may push those features back even farther than September 30th. But right now with the Google Meet app, we have unlimited number of meetings. Originally, we usually can only have 100 participants, but right now, because of the Google Meet premium features, we do have up to 250 participants. We do have closed captioning. So for some of the students who need to be able to see what you're saying and be able to read it, we can turn closed captioning on. Again, Google Meet works across devices. So if a student has an iPad or a Chromebook, the Google Meet app will work. Kind of similar to Zoom, we can mute or even remove participants in a Google Meet. We can share our screen. So we're going to practice using Google Meet here. I'll show you, I'll sign in as two different people and show you some of the features. We will also in Google Meet, there's a chat room available, kind of like Zoom that we have here. So you have that feature as well, where you can also share files and links out to them, just like you can in Zoom. So, and then you can also record the meeting. So it's very similar to Zoom if that's what some of you are used to. I will tell you, yeah, Zoom is what I have used for the last couple years for the majority of the time. And I think with Google Meet, if you're used to Zoom, with Google Meet, you'll just learn about the different features, and the more you use it, the better you will get at it. So right here on slide 5, real quick, I do want to point out some resources here. You can see I put the links here of the updates that Google pushed out in April, May, June, and even here in July, and we'll talk about those. Again, if you want to look at some of these resources, if you've participated in a Google Meet before and you know some things, feel free to look at that as well. So how do you get to a Google Meet? Let's go ahead and jump into that. So again, you do need to be signed into your Google account. And again, if you don't have the sign in over here, then you're signed into your account. But if you do have the word sign in over here, you'll need to sign into your Google account so that you can access all of this. And then using the Google Chrome web browser, you want to then go up here to the waffle. You might ask, why should I use the Chrome web browser? Can I not use the Safari web browser or different Firefox or different web browsers out there? You could use the different web browsers, but not all of the features will work in different web browsers. So for example, I know for sure, like in Google Docs, I had a teacher and a student working on Google Docs, but the voice typing feature wasn't enabled. It was kind of grayed out. They couldn't use the voice typing feature in Google Docs. Number one thing I have them check first is to see which Chrome web or which web browser do you have open. Sure enough, they looked, they had Firefox open. So they switched it to the Google Chrome web browser, opened up Google Docs, then they were able to have the voice typing feature. So same thing here with Google Meet. Go into the Google Chrome web browser and then go to the waffle. When you have that, then you can come over here and go to your Meet app. And then you can click on the Meet app. I will tell you this, I rarely go to my Meet app to join or start a meeting, because what's nice about it, Google Meet has integrated with some of these other apps that we use. But if you did go to the Google Meet app here, you know, it tells you the time, the date. I could join or start a meeting from right here. I could put a nickname in here if I wanted to, hit continue. And whoops, I just wanted to get a link here. Let me close it for right now. As you can see, I don't go to this app. Usually I go through Calendar, Gmail, or Classroom. So I did click on join or start a meeting, so I don't want to do either. And then it shows that I don't have anything scheduled today. So I will tell you, if you are using Google Classroom, that is the best way to use Google Meet, because it is for your privacy and the student's privacy and protection as well. So let me jump over to Classroom and I'll show you Google Meet from there. While I'm doing that, I do want to, you know, earlier I talked about these updates here. If you click on these, I have hyperlinked them out to the updates that Google keeps updated of the new features out there. And I do want to bring your attention to, this is the July update. This came out, I think July, was it 21st? Or July, no, this one says June 25th. I know, I guess if we go to the July one, it'll show us the update, but right here, it does talk about what they're releasing in premium. And right now we do all have the premium account and our regular G Suite for Education apps that we have from Google. Okay. So let me switch back here to Google Classroom and show you about Google Meet, because you might be saying, well, Lisa, this isn't a workshop on Google Classroom. I thought this was on Google Meet. You're exactly right. So if you think back, if you had Google Classroom back when you started to do remote learning with your students back in March or April, you would have had to share the Google Meet link here in maybe the stream. And you usually didn't share that link until maybe 10 minutes before the meeting, because what happened if you shared the link? As soon as you shared the link, what could the students do with that link? So as you can see during remote learning, this is kind of hard just to get a lot, someone to answer. Feel free, you can put it in chat if someone feels comfortable. You could unmute yourself, but here we got Amber saying, yeah, they could use it. It was live. So if I was a student, as soon as you sent me the link, I could join that class or that Google Meet with my classmates. What's nice about it here in Google Classroom is if you click on this link here, if I was a student, they could not go into the Meet. So let me switch to my student account. So I've got Blake's account here, and I'll have him go into his classroom. So let's say it's time for him to join the Google Meet link. Let's say the meeting starts at 2, but let's say he and his friends decide to meet earlier and want to get on the Google Meet link. So what they do then, let's say they click on this link here. Once they click on it, they get an error. So with the error, it says you can't create a meeting yourself. The students can't get into that. Even though the link is there, they can't get into it until the teacher is in the meeting room. So it's okay that this link is visible all the time to the students. So this is the teacher account here. So watch what happens then with the teacher account. I go into the Meet link. Let's say it's time to start. And then I'm going to mute my microphone and I'm ready to join. So I'll join now. And so I'm in the meeting room. So I've muted my microphone so it doesn't get feedback here. If I wanted to, I could have others join. I could copy this information to join, but let me just show you how easy this is if you have Google Classroom. If you don't panic. I will show you other ways around that. So now I'm going back to Blake's. Remember when Blake went into the Google Meet link, it took him to this page, something went wrong, hey, you can't create a meeting yourself. Now Blake will go into the Google Meet link and watch what happens. So then here it says, hey, your teacher's on the call, you can join now. So here's the difference. When the teacher's in there, the student can join. When the teacher's not, they get this message. Okay. So then he can join now. And then we're in the Google Meet. I've muted both him and I because I'm using the same computer, but using 2 different Google accounts. So here's Blake's version of it. Then if I go back to the teacher's version, I've got it right here, right down here. I've got I can turn on captions. I can turn off captions. I can present now. I can even have it where the students present now. And then there's 3 dots here for more options. I can record this meeting. And just like with this Zoom meeting that we're doing right now, you see the record button. I don't know if it's in the middle of your screen, but you should be able to tell, or maybe it's on the upper left-hand corner of your Zoom screen. You should be able to tell if someone is recording this or not. Same thing here with the Google Meet. You'll be able to tell. Here I can do change layout, make it full screen. I can turn off captions here. I can use phone for audio if need be, report a problem. Okay, report abuse help. I also have settings here. So if for some reason your microphone's not working, you can also test it here. My microphone is off because I muted myself, so you wouldn't hear feedback from me. I'm having multiple accounts open here. And then you can even change what speakers or microphone that you're using. Again, that's audio. I go to the video tab, it's showing which camera it's using, because on mine, I do have 2 different cameras hooked up to my computer that I could use the built-in camera or I could use my webcam here. And then you got some other options here, and then hit done. and that was under the 3 dots. So if you are brand new to the G Suite apps for education in Google, anytime you see 3 dots like this, that means you have more options. There's another menu available there to click on. Now, you might say, well, my Google Meet looks different than yours, Lisa. It may. What I've done, I have downloaded, or I have added some different Chrome extensions that work with Google Meet. So I don't know if you can see on my screen that I have, your Meet has started. I've got some information here. This lets me know, I think this was, yeah, this is my Google Meet attendance. It helps keep track of attendance of who's in my Google Meet, especially for the, school districts. You have to, give them the attendance record. It does it for you. I also have the nod. This one up here allows them to raise their hand, give a thumbs up, thumbs down without having to put anything in chat or interrupt. I also have the party button here. If it's someone's birthday or just a celebration, you can click on this confetti here, and I'll just go ahead and do it real quick. It just throws up confetti on the screen. So something fun. These are extensions. Again, if you don't know about extensions, don't panic. I will talk to you more about extensions here. So right now, this is the teachers. You're seeing the teacher's screen. I've got grid view here. I can put it in a grid view, kind of like on Zoom, like the Brady Bunch picture is how I refer to it. It's showing me Blake's here also. If I go to this person here, the person, people icon shows me who's all in the Meet. And just like here within Zoom, I can mute people in case if they're accidentally unmuted. And same thing here with Meet. If I click on this drop-down arrow, and I'm on Blake's name, if I click on that, I can, if I needed to pin him to the screen, I could. Okay. So this is Blake's, me pinning his account. Even though you're seeing me, I've got his account open in mine. And why do I have Blake's account here? Just through the LTC, we created an account, another account, a student account that I can show you the student view and the teacher view. Right here, if I need to hide this participant for some reason, I can. Or even right here, I can remove him from the meeting. So let's say Blake is being obnoxious, and every time I try to go to mute him, he unmutes himself and then starts talking. So if anything, I have the option to remove him at any time if I would like. Just like here in Zoom, we've got the chat feature. So you can send a message to everyone here. Now in Zoom, you can send a message to particular people. Here, right now it's set up to go to everyone so that everyone sees everything in the chat. So if I go to Blake's screen, on Blake's screen, his looks a little different because on the teacher's screen, I have the attendance and I have some of the different extension icons there. But let's say Blake wanted to ask a question. He can click on the nod and it says Blake raised his hand. Now on these extensions, the kids will need to have these extensions as well. So if I switch back to the teacher account, here the teacher account, she sees, oh, Blake raised his hand. So then you can determine how you ask if he needs help, either via chat or just within the meeting room here. If I go back here to Blake's, I've got, if he wanted to unraise his hand, he can click the X and it takes his hand raised off of there, but he can do the thumbs up, thumbs down, and then there's more emojis there as well. Again, this is the student account. They can turn on the captions themselves. They can present now, and then they can even have the 3 dots here. So if he went to present now, it clicks on present now. I don't know, okay. So then he can choose, does he want to present his entire screen, just a window, or a Chrome tab? So the difference between this is A window would be all of my tabs would show up. If I only wanted one tab to show up, it would just be one of these tabs up here. Again, he can come over here, go to the people icon, and then he can chat here as well if he needs to ask a question or participate that way. Because I know sometimes with some of the classes and some of your students, all the kids want to talk at once. So then, you know, not only are you learning how to use the chat, they are too. In the beginning with the kids, they'll probably want to, you know, say hi and talk to each other, but over time, you know, they might be able to use the chat for their benefit to help if they don't understand something you are saying. Okay. So let me, so we're still in the meeting room here, and let's say that it's time to go, and everyone has left the meet except Blake. Now, if you say, okay, bye Blake, we'll see you later, and you're done, you close out, and I'll go ahead and exit out. I've left the meeting room. Now, let's go to see if Blake, if it forces him to leave. So here's Blake's account. What happened to Blake's account? He is still in there. He and any other students that are still in the Google Meet are there unless if you remove them. So if you remember, you got out and you remembered seeing a couple kids there, and for some reason they didn't leave, maybe they stepped away from their computer, you didn't know it, and they haven't exited out, then you could go and remove them yourself. But most of the time when you tell the students, you know, bye, they will leave and they will close the tab themselves. To get out of a meet, all you have to do is hit the X up here because it's a new tab. If you hit the X, it closes the meet for you. But let's say you forgot and you remembered you forgot to remove all of them, then you can come back here to your Google Meet link from Classroom, and then it opens up for you to join the meet again. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself, and then it says, hey, Blake's already in this call. How did he get there? He only got there because you never removed him. So if I join back, then sorry, I thought I muted myself. So then if I see that, I can come up here and see that, oh, Blake is still here. I can go in and remove him right here. So when I click that remove from meeting, it's saying, hey, are you sure you want to remove him? If you do, then click remove, and then you can remove him. So right here, that will remove Blake from the Google Meet. So I'm going to I'll go ahead and remove him and hit remove. So then if I go back over here to Blake's screen, someone has removed you from the meeting. So this is the message they'll get. And then they can just return to home screen or just close out of it if they want. But remember, for the student, this Meet link is there if you so choose. And I'll show you how you can turn that on or off. But again, this saves you some time in the beginning of where you have to go create a Google Meet link, and remember not to give it to the students too early or until you're ready to join. Here, again, that takes it away. This Google pushed out sometime in April so that it made it easier for teachers then to meet with their students using Google Meet. So let me go back here to the teacher account. Here's the teacher account. She's still in. So just close out of it. And then you've left the Meet. So if I go back into the Meet right now, no one will be there because I removed Blake and every other kid got out of it. So the remove option is just there to remove any kids who haven't closed out of the tab. Now, I will tell you, coming up here this fall, that will be an option. I'm trying to see here on this, if it was right here, that when you leave the class, kind of like with Zoom, when the teacher leaves, then it makes all of the participants leave. So I would think that they would be pushing this out ready to go here for the start of school this fall. But for the Google Meet link here in Google Classroom, if you use Google Classroom, if I don't have that here in my stream, I could come up here to the gear and click on the gear. The gear is my class settings. And right here, this is where you can make it visible to students. Okay. If you don't want it visible to students, you can turn that off. But again, as you saw, you can make the link visible to students. Students can't get into the link unless if the teacher is there. So that is what's nice that Google created that feature. And then as we see, Google's constantly making changes and updates as they collected all of our data on how we use Google Meets, and they heard our voices. So if there's anything that you want changed in an app, fill out the form that you can find on the Google, when you Google it, that, or the help button or support, fill that out. Google does take all of that data, and they do listen to us and make changes to the different apps out there. Again, that could be positive or negative. Depends on if you like, okay, I can just start. If you like all of the changes, you know, at different times, because they can push it out. So again, for the visible Meet link here in Google Classroom, you have to go to the gear and go to settings here to make that visible. And it's okay for it to be visible for students, because as you saw earlier with Blake's, he can't get into that Meet until the teacher is in there. Okay. Any questions or comments about that? Oh, is it Kaylee? She asked a great question. Can a student rejoin the meeting after you remove them? Good question. I believe you can. So we'll just try it here on Blake's again. And again, it's taking a while for mine to load, because I do have all of these extensions going in the background that work with Google Meet. So as you can see, I also have another extension, class list. It shows that who's in the class. So right now the teacher is, and Blake is in there. Or I guess that was on the previous one. Let me get him back in on this new one here. And yeah, this is the same link that is always going to be visible here for students. I did not create this Meet link here. I just went up to the gear and to the class settings to get it. So I can show that again, but a question was, after you remove a student, can they join back? So get him joining. So then let's go up here to the people, and I see Blake's in here as well. If I go and remove Blake, okay, so I'm still in here, but I've removed Blake. He'll get that message that he's been removed, so he can close out of it. He can then, if he clicks back on it, he can get back in. But this is, I just wanted to show you here. So, you know, instantly he can get back in and hit join now. So again, if he joins now, you know, you can keep, I guess, removing him. Or I guess maybe think of plan B, what could we do? So let me go back to the teacher account. So I'm in the teacher account doing a Google Meet right now with Blake. Blake's not in here because I removed him. I guess I didn't hit join. Join now. So then he's back in. But let me go to my classroom real quick here. So when I'm in Google Classroom, I have this link here. How did I get that link? I didn't have to do anything. On the back end, Google provided that for me. And I made the link visible right here. This Google Meet it says it's visible to students. If I don't want it visible to students, I can turn that off. If I click right here on this drop down arrow, so while you're maybe, you know, if for some reason you want to reset the code, you can reset it. You can even copy it, and you know, if you needed to push it out to the student another way, if for some reason they couldn't access Google Classroom, you could copy that and give that link to them as well. But again, it's okay to keep that link visible because the kids can't get in there unless if the teacher's in there. Yeah, so Christine asked, so for any particular class, yep, the link stays the same. Yep, and Mark answered that, perfect. Mark, do you want to unmute and talk? Don't you have several different Google Classrooms set up, and talk about how, you know, the links are for each classroom?
I don't have any classroom set up now. I used it this past June for driver ed. It was my first time using Google Meet, and I kind of went in not knowing what I was doing, and I kind of figured it out easily. It's not that difficult, and it kind of tells you as you're going along. As you try something, it tells you, you know, you can mute him, but he has to mute himself, and that kind of thing. So it's pretty easy to use. I'm in no way a tech mastermind, but I figured it out and it seemed to work. So I'm just kind of sharing what I learned on the fly.
Okay, well, good. And Mark, thanks for sharing your story. And, you know, that shows that the more you use it, the more you'll get familiar with it. And sometimes with tech, you know, let the kids know that you are trying this out. You're not for sure what problems might arise, but they might even be able to help you as well if they've used it before. So like Mark said, he just learned it and used it for the first time with his driver's ed students here in June. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Mark. And yeah, feel free, other people can put your stories in chat, or if someone feels comfortable to unmute, go ahead and unmute and tell your story as well. So going back here to the slide deck, you've heard me talk about extensions, and you're like, Lisa, you've lost me. As soon as you started talking about extensions, you lost me. What extensions are? They run in the background with tabs in the Chrome, Google Chrome web browser. And right here on slide 10, I have a bunch of different Google Meet extensions out there that you can use. There's one even virtual backgrounds. So this came out, we saw a bunch of these extensions come out in April. So then what Google has done the last couple months, they are trying to integrate this within the Google Meet app, so you don't need extensions. The nod, the one where Blake clicked on it to raise his hand that he had a question, well, Google is putting a question and answer feature in Google Meets, kind of similar to Zoom. But if I go back here, what I'm reading here, anytime you see that it says for the G Suite Enterprise for Education customers, this is for the school districts that are paying for Google, that this is what they're releasing for that. Right now, even you and myself, if you have the G Suite Apps for Education account, the free account, which a majority of people do, we have these features free when they push them out. We have, right now, Google is saying that they've pushed them out for free to all customers until September 30th. After September 30th, it is just for the Enterprise for Education customers, and it's their premium features. So the Q&A, right now, when they push it out, we will have that if they push it out before September 30th. Once they take that away from just the G Suite for Apps for Educators, Education account, the workaround would be using the Nod extension. So I know this makes it even more confusing how Google has these, you know, the G Suite Apps for Education and then the G Suite Enterprise for Education, different accounts. But Google's jumped on the bandwagon like many of these other apps. They give you the free version and then the premium version, then to hopefully move over to their premium version. Another thing here in their premium version, the attendance tracking, and then polling to engage students to share their voice. Again, there's some work around using some of these extensions. Now, with these extensions, you have to go to the Chrome Web Store to get the extensions. And you sometimes, with the teacher account, you cannot add extensions, and that's, many school districts have that locked down for safety and security for not only the teachers, but the students, because sometimes these extensions need access maybe to your Google Drive or to your apps, like in this case that needs access to your Google Meet, and they may be collecting data on the back end that you're not aware that it's collecting. Just like with your smartphone, if you use one, that's different apps that you use on that, it's collecting data. I mean, just what's in the news, really popular in the news the last couple of weeks is TikTok and what data that it collects, and how the president might ban that because it's, you know, collecting data. It's under the guidelines of the Chinese government. So again, it's probably a good thing that many school districts out there don't allow you to add extensions. If you want, you could try to add these extensions on your private account to see what they do if you like them, and then have a discussion with your Google admin to see what the school's policy is on adding extensions. But you will see that not only the teacher needs these extensions, but then these extensions would need to be pushed out to the students. So Blake had this extension, the nod extension, pushed out to him so that he could raise his hand or, you know, nod, put a thumbs up, thumbs down. And as you can see, there's other emojis that he can click on. Again, there's the Meet grid view, kind of have put everyone in a big grid. I don't think that you need the extension anymore, that Google Meet put that within their app, that you can have the grid view there. But this came out before Google Meet put that in the app. So another thing here, everything that's been discussed in a Google Meet and you have closed captions, then at the end, just kind of like within a Zoom, you can have that as a text file. You can have that again in a Google Meet. It's called Tactic Pins. Another extensions, virtual backgrounds, visual effects. I think I showed you the Google Meet party button. So Blake didn't have this because it wasn't pushed out to his extensions, but me as the teacher had it. So I could come up here and click on the Google Meet party button to have confetti there, okay? Okay, so maybe you didn't see it because I just got a pop-up saying, hey, if you like this feature, buy the Pro version so you can have that feature. So right now it looks like I just have this feature for free. Do you guys see that confetti on your screen?
Yes, I saw it.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And then again, there's two different Google Meet attendants. I think I just put one on here, but I added another one to my extensions for Google Meet attendance. So you might be saying, okay, Lisa, you're talking about these extensions. How do I get the extensions? If you go to your Google Chrome Web Store, you can get your extensions. If you go to, I have it bookmarked, but I think it's chrome.google.com/webstore. Here's where you can get extensions out there. Again, you might not be able to add them to your school Google account, but on your private personal one, you can. So if I want to type in, well, I guess if you click on the if you click on some of these links here, it should take you there. So if I look at the Google Meet attendance, that'll take you out to learn about this extension. What I also look to see how many users use it. I look at the reviews. So if I want to, I can also look at overview. So this is the gentleman who created this. So it's just, it's Google Script on the back end. It's, if you're a programmer or interested in that, you could build your own extensions. And that's how these extensions come about. And so he came up with the solution to record attendance during a Google Meet session. And then it tells you a little bit about it. And then you can read reviews, support, and related here as well. So it's going to the Chrome Web Store to get that extension. And then if you can add it, you can add it to your, add it to Chrome. If at any time you want to remove it, you can remove it from here, or you can come up here to the 3 dots and go to More Tools. When you go to the 3 dots, More Tools, you can go to your extensions. These are all of the extensions that you have tied to your Google Chrome web browser, and you can remove them here. You can turn them off and on here as well. So I know for some of you this might be overwhelming with these extensions, but I just wanted to talk about the extensions here. In case if you were wondering how I had some of these extensions on the Google Meet. Okay, so this, going back to the Google Meet then, when I went into this Google Meet, I didn't have to go and create a Meet link and send it out to my students or send it out to Blake. All I had to do was go to the classroom and get it from there. If I use Google Classroom, and again, you might be saying, hey, I don't use Google Classroom, so how can I do a Google Meet? So let me show you that as well. So let me just show you real quick here. Blake, I didn't remove him. He's still in there. Again, he just needs to click out of that and he can get out of it. So another thing, we have Google Meet in our calendar. So if I go to Create, and when I go to Create, so let's say you and I were meeting. I could put down Sarah and Lisa meeting. And let's say we're going to meet tomorrow at 3:30. Again, I can put down until 4:30 or whatever time here. I'll just keep it 4:30. And right here where it says add video conferencing, all I have to do is click on add video conferencing. And right now I could click on a Google Meet and click that. Right now, you do have up to 250 participants because we have the premium version of Google Meet for free until September 30th. After that, unless if Google extends that, it'll say up to 100 participants. So if I click on that, it automatically creates a Google Meet link here. And Mark, I don't know if I have your email address. If let's say Mark and I were meeting, if I had Mark's email address here in my Google account, it would show up. I don't, let me just put in, I'll just put in my personal one right now. I can't see her calendar here, but if I hit save, so all I had to do, I had it, put a name here, put the date and time, and I clicked on Google Meet. So then I added guest right here. Sorry, sometimes I do things too fast. If I click on add guest, so here's how I can add guest. So if I needed to include other people here on this Google Meet, they would get, it would come to their email, and then they would also, it would show up on their calendar. I didn't have to go to the Google Meet app to create the link or anything. I just created it from my Google Calendar. You might ask, well, how did I get to Calendar? I always pin some of my tabs up here that I constantly use throughout the day. But again, all I would have to do, come over here, I'm signed into my Google Chrome account. and come down here to the waffle, and I went to calendar here. Okay. But I had my calendar pinned up there. And you might be asking, the reason I pin my tabs is so I don't accidentally close them, because again, it's ones that I constantly use throughout the day. So right here then on my calendar invite, I just put Mark and Lisa meeting. He or anybody I put in this meeting can join using this Google Meet. I added some people to the Google Meet. I'll hit the X because I didn't want to send it to Katie. If I needed to, I could add a description down here. I could attach any files if I want him to see or have at his, disposal when we're meeting. I could do that right from here. And then I hit save. So if I want to hit, once I hit save, I could send an invitation email to the Google Calendar guests. I usually do, just so that they know that they've been invited for a meeting. So I'll hit send. And then if I go to that account, I have an email here saying, hey, you have an invitation for this meeting. So I've got the meeting link here, kind of similar to you getting a meeting link for the Zoom workshop today. I can go here and hit yes, that I can attend, or I can even go to my calendar. And here on my calendar then, here's the meeting. If I click there, I can hit yes to access it there. Why I like having the calendar here, because sometimes if you get a lot of emails and you think, oh, I didn't get this link for the meeting. Well, I can just go to my calendar and access the link. So when it's time, when it's 3:30 tomorrow, then I could join with the Google Meet and click on it. Now, could I join the Google Meet before the time? It's saying, hey, are you ready to join? Ask to join, and you'll join the call when someone lets you in. Okay. So then if I go back to the account that I created it, if I go here and join the Google Meet, as you can see, we can go into the Google Meet even though it's not 3:30 on August 4th. And then that's pulling up. So right from calendar, you can join the Google Meet there. So then since I'm the one who created the calendar invite, I can join now. And then if I click join now, then it's joining. If I go back over to the other account, now it's allowing me to join. Why? Because the person who created the link is in there. So it's going to join. It's just with me using the same computer. Okay, just taking slow. So it's saying, hey, this person wants to join. They're outside of the LTC. I can admit them, and then they're in as well. And so then I can see that they're in. But anytime when you send a Meet link, it's not live unless if you go into it. Now, if for some reason here in Google Calendar that I go back to this link here of our meeting, I can go back here and edit it. If for some reason I don't want it to have that Google Meet in there, I can just X out of that, and I thought I could delete it. Maybe I can't. If anything, I could just delete the whole invite. Another thing I could do here also, if I wanted to add someone else to it, let's say I wanted to add Katie to this, even after I send it out to another participant, and I hit save, would I like to send invitation emails to new calendar guests? It won't send it to Lisa again. It'll only send it to the new people that I've added. Okay, there we go. Yeah, when you click the X, that cancels the Google Meet. I thought so, but I guess I wasn't clicking right on the X. So again, let's say I created it, it creates it. I don't have to type in any codes, it creates it for me. If for some reason I don't want that Google Meet there anymore, just click the X and it goes away. And it could just still be a meeting, whether it's a phone or whatever it may be. All right. Let me pause for a moment. I know I've gone over a lot. I haven't gone over everything yet, but if you think back, I went over Google Classroom, getting the Google Meet from there. I went over creating a Google Meet from Calendar. And then I've shown you some extensions. So what are some of your questions or comments? Oh wow, there's a lot of things here in chatter. Mark, are you able to keep up, or anybody else trying to keep up answering some of the questions out there?
I tried to keep up with everything that I knew. On my post about the attendance, I didn't have attendance. I kept it manually, and when I reread it, it was Brianne asked me a question, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't make it clear, but I didn't have the attendance. What I was saying is that would be a great tool, because I did have an issue with a student who wasn't in attendance and then claimed that he was there, and he was that hadn't turned any homework, but he was there, and he never was. And so had I had attendance, yeah, it would have been better, but I did keep it manually. So that's what I had to back myself up on that. But that was my point there.
Okay, yeah, good, thank you. And right now, the Google Meet attendance is an extension, but if you look at some of these updates, Google is pushing them out, that we'll get to play around with it here this fall. The attendance tracking to provide a record of which students joined the class. Now, I think someone asked if it will timestamp it. I don't know if this new feature will timestamp it, or if it'll just keep track of who was there and who was not. I'm sure that's probably a good question, and maybe a big ask that we could have it timestamp it if for some reason they don't. I know Zoom has that feature, so I would think Google Meet, they would put that in there as well, because teachers, if they have to prove that students are there, they can show by the attendance tracking. Debbie, I just saw this last question here. Debbie asked, can you turn off the chat feature in Google Meet? Good question. Does anybody know? I don't know off the top of my head. I know I haven't turned it off before, but I guess never thought to turn it off. So if anybody has time out there, can you Google it right now and see if you can turn off the chat feature in Google Meet?
I was going to say the other thing that helps sometimes with attendance, or it did for me, was to kind of keep track of who was there. It does tell you how many people are in your Google Meet all the time. And so if you know how many you have in your class plus you, that should be the number it shows. But it also bounces up on your screen. So-and-so has left the meeting, so-and-so has joined the meeting. And I had several students this summer that would get kicked off all the time. So they were constantly, a dozen times during our class would be leaving and joining the meeting because of bad internet.
Yeah.
So, but it does help you keep track of who's coming and going for whatever reason. So if somebody misses something, you kind of know that too. So thought I'd add that.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Mark. So I will show you how to create a Meet link here from the app and how to share it out. And then also, again, someone asked, let me reiterate with Google Classroom, why is it safer there? It's using the G Suite apps for education, you know, they're big on their safety and security, but why it's safer here is because I guess the link is already created there for you. It's supposed to save you time. So you don't have to go and create the link and then push it out to your students by putting it in the announcements. Because what was happening with my youngest son was the teacher had to go and create the Meet link, go copy it, paste it here in the announcements, but they couldn't paste it there until 10 minutes before class started. As you know, with using Zoom a lot in my professional life, I'm like, well, where's the link? You know, he doesn't have the link yet. And again, the reason the link wasn't pushed out too far in advance back then, because the students could join the link as soon as they got it. So until the teacher was ready for the meeting to start, she didn't post it out here, or he didn't post it out here and the announcements for the kids to join. Now, if you don't use Google Classroom, that's fine. They pushed out the link through email or whatever means of communication you had with the students during the time of remote learning. So that just having the Google Meet visible here on your Google Classroom, they integrate nicely together and it saves you time, because hopefully over time you will see how technology can save you time with your students. Maybe right now you think, you know, you're overwhelmed about all of this new technology and learning all of this stuff and saying, Lisa, I don't get this. I don't, you know, don't use tech that much. The more, like Mark said, the more you use it, the more you'll experience what information you can get from it and how to interact with it. So hopefully you'll have patience with yourself in learning this. But anytime you are learning new material, there is that frustration level. And now hopefully then you'll be able to maybe relate with your students when they're learning all of this new stuff you're throwing at them, that, you know, they have patience for themselves and you have patience for them as they're learning it as well. So if I go over here, I still have the Google Meet app open. If I don't, again, I can always click on a new tab and go to the waffle and go to the Meet app here. So someone asked in chat how to join or start a meeting from here. So if I wanted to start a meeting from here, I can give it a nickname. So I'm just going to put today's date. It says learn how to schedule a meeting. If you click there, it will kind of walk you through how to start a meeting. I'm not going to go through all of this here, but here's, you know, they put it, you know, in Calendar. Here's how you can do it in Gmail. You can go to Google Meet to start the meeting right from there. So I'll put today's date. Let me put continue. And then here is how I've started a meeting right now. So what I'll need to do then, if I want other people to join this meeting and I started the meeting this way, I will need to get the link. Okay, so no one else is here. The link, where is the link at? If I hit join now. Okay, right here. So it's just taking a little bit of time. So if I want to share this info with other people you want in the meeting, I can highlight it and copy it, or just hit copy joining info, push it out to them through their email, through a calendar invite. But again, it's some extra steps that I have to do. I can just go to my Gmail and create it from there, or go to my calendar and create the calendar invite. Or right here, I can add people. So I noticed Mark did put his email in here. So Mark, let me get your email. So if I put in his right here, so what I can do, I can send an email right from here, and then he can join this Google Meet. Now, could I have done this from Google Calendar? I could have. From Google Calendar, what I showed you before, I go to create and then create it from here and put his information here and have the Google Meet coming right there. So usually if you use this app, the Google Meet app. This is for when you want a meeting to happen right now. You know, if you got it planned, maybe you're jumping on, it's not scheduled, and you can do it that way. But if it's scheduled out and you want to do it ahead of time, you can use the calendar invite to do that. I know my chat's blowing up. There's a lot. So Mark joined us. He just needs to hit mute. Perfect. And there in the beginning. Okay, I think he's got it. You saw the closed captioning there. It was typing in what I was saying. You're not seeing the closed captioning right now because I've turned off the microphone. You're hearing us from Zoom. So if Mark was talking, and he can talk here, so Mark, just, yeah, unmute your Zoom one and not your Meet one. Do you guys still have echoes going on, or did we get those taken care of? Okay. Oh, and Mark, what's happening with Mark? And maybe it's happening with, you know, we've got two different platforms open on our computers. We've got Zoom and Meet, and it's, our internet connections aren't the best. Yeah, Mark. So what we can do, we can get out of this. But that just shows you another way you can create a Meet. As you can see, Mark's over here. Oh, he left because, again, internet. And, you know, we could have chatted. He could have presented now. But he wouldn't have been able to raise his hand or use this nod extension if he didn't already have this pushed out onto his Chrome web browser. So we've shown you Calendar, we've shown you Google Classroom, we showed you how to go get it from the Google Meet app. I will tell you, I can't remember the last time I went to my Meet app to schedule or join a meeting. I usually join it from my calendar. But you also have it in your email. And if you go to your email here, right here, you can have it where you start a meeting or join a meeting. So very similar to what we just did in the Google Apps. If I click start a meeting, do you see it brings up the same interface if I had accessed this from the Google app, the Google Meet app from over here from the Waffle. So it integrates nicely into your Gmail as well. So Calendar, Gmail, Classroom. Another one out there is in Chat. It does integrate in Chat if you use Google Chat. A lot of districts have that turned off. But again, you can start a chat, or you can start a Google Meet and chat if you would like. So you've got that access. So if I wanted to go to my chat here, and so here's my Google Chat. If I wanted to start a Google Meet with Holly right now, I could just go here to this Meet icon, and I can add a video meeting. So if Holly knew that we were going to meet right now, this would send her a link. She could join, I could join. And it's the same process of joining as, you know, joining it through Classroom, through Calendar, or Gmail. Yeah, Mark, that's what we figured, thanks. I'm seeing a lot of people put questions in here about Seesaw. I think I'll have time to show you Seesaw here before we leave. So I will, if I forget to talk about Seesaw and how to add it in Seesaw, please someone unmute and ask. But how about by 2:45, I'll talk about Seesaw, if not before. Oh, someone's asking, why would you pin a student? Good question. Just to put that student at the top, or maybe to have, I don't know. Yeah, my thing is just, to put it at the top of your chat, just like when you would pin anything else. Mark, did you pin any students when you did the Google Meet, or anybody else out there? Your reasoning behind pinning a student?
No, I never pinned anybody. I only had 14, and I would put them on grid view so I could see them all at the same time anyway.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you. And so, yeah, if anybody else has any reasons why they would pin a student, feel free to put it up there. But it's just, to put them at the top of the list, like anytime you would pin anything else, so that they're at the top. But maybe other people have other reasonings behind pinning a student. So again, a recap here. Again, this is a lot of information. Here on slide 6, you can create a Google Meet through Google Calendar by just adding the conferencing. You can go to your Gmail and start a meeting or join a meeting right from your Gmail. You can go to your Google Classroom if you use Google Classroom and share out, well, you don't even have to create the Meet link. You can just make it visible to students so the students can access it from there. And then again, here's some reasons to have it. Even though it says can't rejoin once you have closed the link, that's once the teacher has closed the link. So maybe once, I'll put the teacher. When I say you, that's what I mean, the teacher, but let me be more clear. Has closed the link. Okay. And then we have all of these extensions here. Again, take time, click on these. I did hyperlink them so you can go out and learn about them. And then here on slide 11, I've got, this is what Google said about possible updates in the near future. So some of you, I do want to take time and show you Jamboard and how you can do a Google Meet with sharing your screen if you need to, have that like whiteboard that you're used to in the classroom that you can use. Now this digital whiteboarding, what it's going to do is it's going to integrate with Jamboard, but in the meantime, it's not integrating with Jamboard right now. Again, I don't know when they're going to push that out, but I'll show you about that. Here's, some of you are familiar with the breakout rooms in Zoom. They're going to offer that feature in Google Meets, but again, that feature we'll all have here right now, but come September 30th, we may not have that because it's not a premium feature, or it's not in our account or we don't have a premium account or the enterprise account. So as you can see here, here's some other things, but right now there are still some other extensions out there that we can use to help with the to get around this. So let me show you Jamboard. If I go over here, I went to a new tab and I clicked on this waffle. Some of you who were in my earlier session, we did talk about Jamboard. Jamboard is an interactive whiteboard, and you do have this for free in your G Suite apps for education. If you don't see it in your waffle, all you have to do is come up here and type in jamboard.google.com. Mark, do you want to say something? Okay, I thought someone, maybe it wasn't Mark or someone else, I thought wanted to say something. And then So to start a new Jamboard, all I have to do is come down here and hit the plus sign. Mark, I don't know if you can hear me. Or, okay, no, it was someone else. Okay, we start almost, see, that was nice to have that mute feature. Someone accidentally unmuted themselves and we were almost getting ready to hear their phone conversation. Okay, so right here, this is Jamboard. This is an app that you do have available to you. If you don't have it in your Waffle, go to jamboard.google.com. And this is kind of similar to some of the other apps out there. You can just click up here, put a title here, and then it's your interactive whiteboard. What can you do with this? So you could come here if you needed to pick whatever color marker pen you wanted, and you could start drawing on here, start writing, whatever you needed to do. You can hit the eraser if you need to erase things. You've got the select, you could select things if you needed to. You've got a sticky note here. This is the only way I figured out how you can type on here. So there's not a text box or anything, but you can do a sticky note. You can choose what color it is. Hit save, so you can have a bunch of sticky notes around here. You can even bring in images here on your Jamboard. And as you can see, you can upload it, do a Google image search, even get images from your Drive or even from your Google Photos. And then also, if you're wanting to describe something or, you know, point out something here on Jamboard, you can have the pointer. So when you move it around, it points, you know, you can show them where you want their attention to go. And so why am I talking about Jamboard? Because then if you do do a Google Meet here, then you can share your screen and talk about this. Earlier, I did in an earlier workshop talked about doing screencasting, and we use Screencastify to do that. Well, right now with the Google Meet feature, you can record. So even if you use the Google Meet feature to record a lesson, you could do that. So to do that, I would go over to the Waffle and go to my Google Meet. And I can just go ahead and start a meeting. And again, don't panic if you're wondering why some of these different extensions are showing up on mine and not yours, because I've added them to mine. So right here, let me go ahead and hit, I can hit join now. I can go ahead and hit present. And then, so it's saying, when I present here from my Google Meet, it's asking to share my screen. What do I want to share? Do I want to share just a tab? Do I want to share my entire screen or my application window? So if I just want to share, let me go ahead and just do this tab. So it's doing my Google Jamboard and I hit share. You can see what's on my screen, just like how I'm sharing in the Zoom. And then again, I can show the students stuff if I want, talk from the screen if I want. I can also, with this Jamboard, I can come up here and share this with my students. So to share it with them, I could push it out in Google Classroom. I could even put it as a link in Seesaw. Things are going slow because right now I've got a lot, you know, Zoom running here and Google Meets running. Again, to share this, I would just have to where it says get link. If I share it outside of my Google domain, outside of my school district, then I would put anyone with the link. And then do I want them to be able to view it, or do I want them to be editors so that we can all collaborate on this Jamboard? Then I can copy link if I want, and again, copy that link out to Seesaw, Google Classroom, or whatever um, email, however I share out my links with the students. So here's sharing my tab. How do I know I'm sharing my tab? Right up here, it says sharing this tab to meet.google.com. If I want to stop sharing, I can hit stop. And then right here, back at the Google Meet, it's saying I'm presenting to everyone. I've got my audio on. And let's see, let me go ahead and stop right now. Okay. So I'm not presenting now. And then when I clicked on this, I hit present now. So let me see. So I left the meeting. Let me go back in. So that's one thing with all of these extensions, it seems like it takes a little bit longer to load up. Let me hit join now. So even if I hit join now, let me show you then how I can present my screen as well. So then if I click on, I can click here and hit record meeting, but I'm afraid to right now since I have Zoom going and I'm recording that as well. But here's where I can hit record meeting, and then here's where I can hit present now as well. Same thing, do I want to present my entire screen, window, or tab? I don't know, did I answer the questions in chat?
What's the difference between entire screen and application?
So good question. So the application will be just the app you're in, and the entire screen, you might be on several different tabs. So my entire screen, I can go from window to window. I don't know if you've been seeing, like when I go into Blake's account or when I went into my my personal account to show you email, that I did entire screen. The windows, I would only be able to show you one window at a time. It wouldn't allow me to go to the different accounts. And then the tab, it would just up here would show me just one tab at a time. When I was presenting my screen with Jamboard, did you see any other tabs up here? Or did you just see the Jamboard tab? Yeah, feel free if anybody knows that answer. I couldn't see it on my end, but yeah, just the Jamboard. Yeah, because if I think I just had clicked on the tab to share the Jamboard. Someone asked, how long will it record? Good question. I don't know that answer. If anybody knows or wants to Google it real quick, if you can drop that answer in the chat, that would be good to know. I don't know if there is a time limit for recording on Google Meet. Okay. So Kathy, great question. She wants to know where to get that link again. Just from in the Google Meet apps, to get the link, all I have to do, I went to a new tab. If I want to just go ahead and start a meeting right now, I went into the Waffle and went into the Meet. And on the Meet app here, I can just join or start a meeting right here. And then when I start it and no one else is there, it'll eventually come up. It'll give me the link then that I can push out. So when I join now, it'll give me a link. Here's the link as well that I can push out. But if I hit join now, then it'll pop up another screen to give me the link as well. Is that what you were asking, Kathy? I saw some people are shaking their head, but I don't know if that was Kathy or not. Okay, perfect. So then right here, I can copy this joining info right here, and then I can push this out to the participants that I want to join. But again, usually I push it out through Google Calendar, Google Classroom, or through Gmail. You'll get, the more you play around with it, you'll see what works best for you. But as you can see, you have all of these different ways to do the same thing. Again, you do what best works for you. Okay, so Christine did some research here for us. So yeah, Christine put down, Meet video calls can have up to 100 participants. But right now, we have the premium feature. So you will have up to 250 participants if you need to. And then, so yeah, it's saying Google will start to enforce the time restriction on September 30th. Okay, and then she also said that there was no limit on recording. Okay, so good to know. Thank you for looking that up, Christine. Anything else, Christine? Do you want to unmute and say anything else? Have you used Google Meet before? Anybody else out there, you've used Google Meet with your students? Pros, cons, things that worked well with you, things that you would do differently here this school year? Okay, so hopefully then you're learning a lot, Christine and everybody else. So Ashley's asking, could you do multiple 60-minute meetings from the same link throughout the day? Yeah, I don't see why not. Good question. I don't know that answer. So yeah, people have used it to record readings. Yeah, you could use Google Meet. There's, again, a lot of different tools out there that you can use as well. So a couple questions I saw here in chat. So to access this recording of this training after today, what you will need to do, I first will have to upload it to YouTube. But if you go to my YouTube channel, I've got it linked here on slide 2. And here on my YouTube channel, I've got all of the, not all, I guess a majority of the workshops I've conducted since April that I recorded. So you can, if you want, you can subscribe to my channel and you'll get notified when I upload new videos. But if you see some different workshops out there that I've videotaped, because again, many of you might have little ones or other adults in the household as you're learning and might have interruptions throughout the course of the workshop, or things might come up that you need to go back to watch the video if you want to learn some things, or just you forgot. This is a lot of information to take in, and as you go through and experiment with it, the better you'll get at it. A huge suggestion for you with Google Meet, learning it, see if you can join a Google Meet or create one with some of your teachers or other people that you know, and play around with the different features, play around with the different extensions, and see what is possible with them. Because again, the learning curve, as some people put down, that they're learning as they go. As you can see, I'm learning as I go as well. I don't know all of the questions you're asking, and I'm learning when you're asking the questions and people have time to look up the answers. So yeah, go to the YouTube, and again, I should have it either later tonight, or I will try to have it first thing tomorrow morning. So right now I am going to switch over to Seesaw and talk about how to push these links out into Seesaw. I think maybe Jamie's already figured it out. So we'll collaborate and show you that. If you don't want to hear about us pushing this out to Seesaw. You've got time here to look at these resources. If you like Jamboard, I've got some templates here that I shared from a website out there. There's a lot of examples out there. Some of them are free. This one, there's 10 free templates out there how you can use Jamboard. Take a look at that. And then, yeah, look at the updates, look at how you can, all of the different accessibility features, the extensions. So a lot to learn. Before you go, if you can, on slide 12, I've got an evaluation if you could fill out. I think it's 4 or 5 questions, fill that out. And then, yeah, you're free to go whenever you're ready. If you want to stay on and listen about Seesaw, you're more than welcome. But if not, hopefully you got some good information that will help you on your journey with your students this fall. So thank you for joining us. Before I start talking about Seesaw, are there any questions? Any other questions about Google Meet that I didn't cover? Can you get the Google evaluation to work now? Okay, perfect. Thanks for trying. Someone asked if we do not have the Google Meet in our app, maybe the district hasn't given you access. I know some districts had turned that off before remote learning or during remote learning because they used a different video conferencing app. So yeah, check with your district to see if that's something they want you to use and they need to turn it on the back end. Okay, so let me jump over to Seesaw here and how we can push out a link to Seesaw. And I forget who, someone had put in how they think that they could get the, Michelle, was that you or you're waving bye to someone? Someone put in chat how you can push out the link in Seesaw. Okay, so one way I'm thinking of, if you go to, if you go to your inbox and announcements to send a student an announcement, this is where you could copy the link to send it to your students. In this class, I pulled up a class I didn't have students in, but here you could send it to the students or family members and then type in your announcement here, paste your link from Google Meet. So I don't think, if I go back into the Google Meet and I get, or you know what, let me just go to my calendar. I think, did I have Mark's, yeah, Mark and Lisa meeting here. I can copy this link here and just put it in Seesaw under announcements. And then I can say join. And then I can send it now. And then so then they can join via that link. Is it going to be as seamless as in Google Classroom? It's not, because then they would have to highlight that, copy it, and then paste it to be able to join the link.
So would you have to put a new link then every time, unlike Google Classroom where it's just one link they can use the whole year?
Well, no, I think how Google has it set up now, you could give them this link, but let me try it on a different account that they wouldn't be able to join unless if the person who created the link to join. So let me try this account here. So yeah, great question. So it looks like, okay, so they can't join until the person who created it joins. So this is a new feature that Google has pushed out, that it's just not in Google Classroom, that anytime you create a link, people who didn't create the link, they have to join. Why are they asking to join? Because the person who created the link's not in the meeting. So as soon as I'm in the meeting, then it would automatically let them in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, because I know with Google Classroom, it's got the one link that's always posted there for them to
Yeah.
use. Whereas Seesaw, if I'm on Google Meets on Monday and then I start a new meeting on Tuesday, wouldn't I have to send them a new link then if I'm doing it through Seesaw?
I don't think so. Under the new features of Google, how Google has created this, as long as you don't delete this calendar invite with this Meet link here, I think it'll be live.
Okay, thanks.
Even though when I push it out to Seesaw. I mean, feel free if anybody, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, great question, Ashley. It's because again, Google has updated that people can't get into the Meet link until the original person who created it goes there. So yeah, as long as you keep that live and you don't delete it, that should work. That's how I would push out a Google Meet link and put it in, put it in the announcements. But anybody else have any other suggestions of how you would do it in Seesaw? Okay, look at Christine. You go, girl. Okay, so Christine, you want to talk about what you just found and put in chat? Okay, so Ashley found some things too where there is a link option. Yeah, when you upload, that could be another spot too. So, okay. So Christine put this tutorial in there. She said she hasn't watched it yet. That's fine. I didn't, again, mean to put you on the spot. But these are great questions. And think about how you're learning about all of this new tech. And, think about how your kids will learn, when they have questions that they can go up and Google it if you don't have the answers. And it's okay not to have all of the answers because it's so hard to know everything out there. So Ashley, do you want to talk about clicking on this green add button here?
Sure. I just know when we used it in the spring, when you click on the green add button and you go to post an assignment or assign an assignment to students, one of the options that it gives you is if you want to do a link, because we did a lot of YouTube videos and stuff, especially for PE. So you could, no, I think you have to, not that green arrow. Click on the green one. The green add button.
Right there?
Yeah. And then I think it's the post student work option.
Okay.
And then if you click on link, then you can copy and paste a link in there. I don't know if it'll work for this, but then usually they can just click on it as a student and it'll take it right to them.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And then Ashley, when you do that though, would you have to go and post it all the time then, repost it?
I don't know. I've not used it for Google Meet. We just use the link one for like to post videos, but within for each kid, we created folders per subject.
Okay.
So then it's always, if you assign it to, if you have like a Google Meet folder, and that could be the only thing in there. So then they could just click on it and go to that link over and over, I would assume. I don't know.
I like that idea, putting it in the folder. Because the feature I want on Seesaw is to be able to pin it up at the top. So then students can just go and click on it there. But I like the folder. I like the folder idea, putting it in a Google Meet folder. Because, you know, if the kids knew what day you added it on and just memorized that, but I think that's too much.
Well, and it always stays. So like in the folders, nothing leaves the folder unless you yourself delete it. So, but if you created just a Google Meet folder and that was the only thing in there, then it would be easy for them to find.
Yeah, I like that idea. And put it in there, yep. Thank you, Ashley. Any other tips or suggestions on using Google Meet with Seesaw? So again, going back to the slide deck, if you look at slide number 5, I added a link here of 10 different Jamboard templates that I think Matt Miller created or he curated out there. And I think it's all free of charge that you can use in your classroom. So take a look at the Jamboard templates there. I think, Julie, is that what you were? Okay, you got it. Perfect. And then, again, thank you for being with us. And if you can fill out this evaluation, again, I think it's about 4 questions here. If you can't access the link, let me know. We can get that to you.
Lisa, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to Google Meet, you had mentioned in the bottom right-hand corner, the 3 dots, that there should be a recording button. Is that correct?
That is
To
correct.
record? Okay, for some reason, I'm not getting that. What, is it because I have nobody in my Meet with me right now? That's why I can't record, or?
Yeah, good question. Let's take a look here. Yeah, and if anybody wants to do a Google Meet, I mean, we could, I jumped on a meeting the other day with a few teachers and to do a Google Meet and let them play around, and that made them more comfortable. So I'm not in a Meet with anyone else right now, and my record meeting is showing up.
Yeah, I don't have that for some reason. I have change layout, full screen, turn captions on, settings, use a phone for audio, report a problem, report abuse and help, but I do not have record meeting.
Okay, I don't know if that's something your Google admin has control over and they can disable on your account if they don't want you to record meetings with students in there for some reason. So I would
Okay.
check with your person. When I say Google admin, that's the person who's in charge of your Google domain. Check with
Okay.
them and see, because
Okay.
as you see it, it's saying, it's asking for, make sure you ask for consent, because I have heard teachers say that some meetings were recorded that they didn't know, but you should, every time a meeting's recorded, it should show that it's being recorded, just like with the Zoom one. Do you see on the Zoom screen where it's being recorded? But yeah, for the people who are still with us, I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate everyone's participation, helping collaborate as we go through this. Thanks to Mark, Laura, Ashley, everyone who jumped in and helped out as well. I know I'm missing several other names. Casey asked a great question. Are meetings recorded to your local hard drive or to your Google Drive? I want to say that they are recorded to your Google Drive. So let me check if I want to say that it created, yeah, Meet recordings. So on the back end, when you do Meet recordings, a folder is created in your drive. If you haven't ever recorded a Google Meet, it might not be there yet. I don't know if it's there once you record your first one or if it's there as soon as you've got your Google Meet. And then here's my Meet recordings. What's nice then, I have them going right to my Google Drive. So yeah, great question, Casey. And you see, as you play around with this more, learn it more, you'll continue to have questions. Again, questions are good. Yeah, I'm in my Google Chrome. I'm in my Google account for work. And this is where I did the Google Meet recordings. And then I also then it saved it to my Google Drive. And yeah, you guys are so kind out there. Thank you. And thank you for all that you guys do. Anybody have any other questions, comments? Again, I don't know if I didn't have a chance to keep up with chat, so I hope if you didn't get your question answered, you're asking again. I will stop the recording.